With our discussions post-SONA, with me now in studio, Cas Coovadia, the MD of the Banking Association of South Africa. Cas, thanks for coming in. You, together with bank CEOs, have been actively engaging with the Minister of Finance and the President in weeks leading up to what we saw last night. And ahead of last night, banks represented by you said they wanted, and I quote here, detailed action plans, commitments. Did you get that last night?
I think we certainly got the commitments, and when we said detailed action plans, we were sort of looking at the combination of both SONA and the budget speech. We don't expect the President in his SONA speech to give detailed action plans, but I think that we did get commitments that government will look at some of the fundamental issues that we as a country need to look at to create the environment for economic growth. And we believe that the Minister of Finance will then put the meats to the bones. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, I'll touch on what we're expecting from the Finance Minister. But you also said that you looked forward to what you call policy intent to be given by the President. And that speaks to the desperate calls for policy and regulatory certainty. Are investors any more certain after last night?
Well, I think the President did say, and in fact he ended his speech by again emphasizing that it's about the economy. He also ended his speech by saying that we need to actually get right things that are in our control, and that's exactly what we're talking about. There's a whole lot of global issues that we don't have too much control over, but we can ensure that we have certainty of legislation and regulation. We don't change the goalpost. We send out a clear message that we are open for investment, both from local investors and international investors. We look at legislation that's impeding investment. He talked about getting rid of red tape. He talked about a one-stop shop for investment and facilitation of business. He talked about getting the state-owned enterprises right, which is critical as well, particularly if we're looking at things like infrastructure, power, and so on. So I think that he touched on the right issues. He also acknowledged that we need to try and avoid a ratings downgrade, because that would be significant, that would be very severe for our country. So I think that he did touch on the right issues. He actually committed government to looking at these issues and addressing them. And we believe that if we then move on to the budget speech and we take the two together, I think investors should be happy that we've got a platform now to work, and let's put our shoulders to the wheel. Let's try to get economic growth going. And if further down the line politics comes in the way again, then let's look at what we do about it.
You mentioned ratings agencies. Do you think they were convinced last night? I mean, they can't base their ratings decision on one speech, but would they have seen the remarks as favourable?
Well, look, he did address a number of issues that rating agencies raised when they gave us our last downgrade. Also, I saw that the rand is something at 1570 or something this morning, so the rand seems to have strengthened. So I think that between the commitments today, the positive interactions between business and government in the last few weeks, particularly with the Minister of Finance, the commitment to ongoing interactions to try and now, after the budget speech, put some real projects on the table that we can work on concretely. I hope that the rating agencies do get the message that we're pulling together as a country to address the issues that they have raised, and those were important issues. And we would certainly want to send out that sort of message that we are keen on working together on this. We want to give this a go. We're not saying there aren't still problems, but we want to give this a go. And we hope that on both business, government, and labor side, we all commit to the national interest now.
Let's look at the budget speech that's expected soon. Fiscal management issues probably on the agenda there. What do you expect?
Well, fiscal management, absolutely. I think how is government going to implement on the cost-cutting exercise that the President addressed last night? How is government going to work with business and others to look at what sort of policy environment we need to promote investment, to promote growth, and a commitment that we will look at legislation that's currently impeding that. We did, in our discussions with the President and with the Minister, say that we would appreciate a process of a legislative process that actually is more interactive, so that we talk to each other, we talk about what we want to achieve by legislation, and let's then make sure that legislation actually takes us along the route to achieving what we want to achieve. Then we have less unintended consequences. So I think that if the Minister of Finance can say, well, these are the commitments made by the President, this is how we as this government are going to start implementing these, this is our expectations of business and other stakeholders, then I think we've got something to work on. We can then look at those implementation plans, see what role business can play in that, and start moving on these things.
All right. Cas Coovadia, MD of the Banking Association of South Africa, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Well, governments